Okay guys, so until now we created elements. Now let's see how we can replace created elements or existing elements, and how can we also remove them. So let's just type in here a comment first of all of removing and replacing element. And replacing elements in the DOM. Forgot the P there. Okay, so first of all, replacing. So first we'll create an element. I could use an element from here, but I want you to have that exercise of creating, grabbing onto things and replacing them. Okay, so first step, create element. And actually this time we're going to create a container. So this container will contain two elements. It will create a header h something element and a paragraph tag. Okay, so let's create a const and we'll name this container. Okay, and we'll grab onto the document, and now create element as we learned. Now within here we'll just create a general div. Okay, now let's give this element an ID. So give ID, and the way we do that is container. We'll take that container that we just created, dot ID, and we will assign it a ID of, let's say, container. Okay, so let's just say we have the same name. And let me actually console log this so you can see it. So we'll console the container, and there we go. There's our container. Now the container isn't in the document now. Until now, it's not in here. It's just created and it's in the DOM, but it's not displayed. And first I want to create two new things and then add those elements to the container, and then add the entire container to the document. Okay, so the HTML document. So let me actually take this space out here. Now let's create a title. So let's create title element. This is actually not an element, but just going to create a h3, not a title element per se. So let's create a const. Let's call this new, let's say H and L, new HL. Let's call it capital EL, L, element. There we go. And let's assign this to the document. And let's say create element. And now within parentheses, we will create our, let's say H3. If you want to create an H1 or H2 or A6, go ahead. I will create an H3. Okay, so now we have an H3. Let's give this H3 a class. So we're going to grab onto the new variable that we created, our const of new element dot class name. And now we're going to assign it a name of new, let's say H3 free dude. There we go. Element. Let's hit save. Not 6. Let's console log our new element, new H element. Let's see what we just created. Okay, there we go. It's an H3 with a class of new H3 element. Now let's add a text to it. So I'm going to go above our console logs and we can see what is happening. And let's grab onto the new H3, new HEL, and let's type in append child. We want to append something to it. I'm going to append a from the document, not DOM error, damn it, document dot create text node. And we want to create a text, and then we're going to type in a text of new DOM title element. Okay, so if we hit save and it console logs here, you see we have our title. Now I want to add this title, so this title element, to our container. And as you know, the way we do that is we'll take a container dot append child, and we're going to append within parentheses the new element. Okay, so I'm going to now comment out this console log. Actually, let me cut it out and paste it underneath our container. And let's see, okay, there's our console log, div container. If we take a look in our div container, we have our element added to this container. So h3, the class of new h3 element, and the text of new document title is now added to this. So it's added to this new container. Now, above here, we actually, let me comment out this. Don't need this. We just want to see our container. Above here, we're going to now create a paragraph tag. So paragraph tag or element, whatever. And we'll do the same thing as we did with our h3 there. Element. Still typing things wrong. So const, let's create another element. I'm not going to create a variable because this will stay constant. So new paragraph element el, and let's assign it to the document dot create new element. So create element, and we're going to create a paragraph tag. Now let's grab onto it and give it a class of, let's say, new p. It should be within quotes, new p element, not elephant, element, element. There we go. And now let's also add a text to it. So let's grab onto it again, paragraph, append child, and we go to append from the document dot create new text node, and this text node should say new DOM paragraph. Element. Okay, now let's grab onto our paragraph and also add it to our container. So container dot append child, and we're also going to add our new paragraph element. And if we hit save and take a look in our paragraph tag, now in our container we have the h3 and we have the paragraph tag. Now we still can see it in our document. So what can we do? Now we can go down here and grab onto the document dot body, okay, and now append as a child the container. Okay, so now if we hit save, and down here we have our new container. And let's also add a bit of styling to it so we can see what this container looks like. So first of all, let's take the container and dot style and dot let's say background color, and I'm going to add now a RGB color. So let's go with the dark color RGB A, and let's say we're going to go 0, 0, 0, so it's dark color, and for the alpha I'm going to go with 0.4, and we hit save, then we will have this element right here with the background color of a RGB A. Now let's also add a style to the text. So let's go with the new H element, and let's give this a style. I just want to give it a style for us to see later on when we're going to modify it. So document color, and let's say red. That's it. Okay, so there's our element. Now I want to modify this element. So let's say this element already exists, the entire container, and we have to start from scratch. So first of all, we need to grab on to the entire. So actually, I want to create something. We already created something. Now we're going to grab onto it as it is already part of the DOM. So if we didn't create it, it was created. It was created early on. It was inserted directly in the HTML. So for this, we are going to grab onto the parent let's say get parent element. Okay, this is a element. So our parent element was that container, and I'm actually going to create a const here and call it parent. As I said, I'm going to go into the document and I'm going to use query selector and actually get element by ID. And now I'm going to grab on to its ID. So the ID of the container was container. Okay, so let's grab onto this. And now if I would console log, let me comment this out. If I would console log parent now, we get the same thing. So I'm going to get, let me comment this out. Hit save, nothing. And if we console log this, now as we're grabbing onto this from the DOM. Okay, so we're grabbing onto the ID, assigning it a variable of parent, and then we're grabbing it onto its ID of container. So we're grabbing onto the entire element here, which is now a parent and it has 2 children. Okay, so now let's say that from this parent, we're going to grab on. Let's first of all, let's see what this is. So if I would type in here type of parent, it was given this is an object. So let's go with parent.children. And let's select from this number 0. Actually, I wanted to have this in a console log. So let's put it in here. I don't need this. So now if I'm console logging the first child from this, I'm going to get the h3. If I would console log number 1 and hit save, I'm going to get the paragraph. Okay, so I can select them this way, or let's say first child. Let's hit save, and I'm going to get the h3 again, and I will say last child. Then I'm going to get the paragraph tag. So pretty straightforward. We can select now everything from this parent. Now, if I would, so there are 2 ways of dealing with this. Either I could select using a query selector or something like that to grab onto this class, or let's say first child in the console log. Now either I would grab onto the class of new h3 element. Let's say I want to replace this, so I want to grab onto the class, or I could create now a, let's say, const. I'm going to call this old element. Okay, and I'm going to assign this to parent dot first child. Okay, so we know that if I would now console log old element, I should get the h3. So we're getting exactly the same thing. Okay, so I just created a new variable and assigned it to the first child of the parent element. Now let's create another variable. So let me comment this out. Let's save, go down here. Actually, no, I'm going to stay up here underneath our console log, and now let's stay up here. Okay, now let's create another const. Now let's create a variable let and replace, let's call it replaced title. Okay, in this, and I'm going to first of all create a new elements, document dot create element, and I'm going to create a new h3. Now let's grab onto the replaced element, replace title, and let's say then I'm going to give this a new class. So class name replaced title, that's 0. There we go. And let's also replace the text out of it. So replace title and we're going to append a child, and we're going to append a child of document create text node, and the text node will be replaced element title. Okay, now let's hit save, and first of all let's console log this. So let's see how this replace title looks. So console.log, we're seeing up here our old element are going to go underneath console log. So console log parent, oh, replaced element, we want this one. Okay, so we're getting our new h3 with replace title, replace DOM title. Down here in our container we're still having our old element. So the way we can replace it, I'm going to type in here the comment, replace old element with new element in the DOM. So let's take a look at this. We're going to grab onto the parent, we're going to replace something in the parent. So parent dot replace child, and within here first we're going to say what is going to be replaced with. So we're going to replace it with replace title, and then what is going to be replaced. So what is the replacement, and then what will be replaced. So it's going to be replaced the old element. Now if I would hit save, just take a look down here, replace DOM title. So we just replaced our element with the old element with a new element. Actually, let me give it a style. Let's say replaced title.style, and it should be color, let's say green. Oh no, yellow. Okay, so there we go. So we just replaced something in our DOM. Now if you want to remove it, let's type in here remove element, it's pretty simple. We just type in the element that we want to be removed, and that remove. So replace the title dot remove open and close parentheses, because this is a method. Hit save, and it's gone. As you can see, it's gone. It's completely gone from here. If, for example, I want to replace, let's comment this out. It's going to pop back in. If I want to replace to remove this one, then I'm just going to grab onto the new paragraph element and type in dot remove open and close parentheses, and then the paragraph tag is removed. And if I replace this with the parent, then the complete parent is removed. Okay, so now, yeah, actually let me leave it this way. Now let's grab onto a couple of things and start removing them. For example, let's grab onto let's say all of the list elements. So let's create a const, let's call it list elements. I keep typing in elements wrong. Elements, and let's assign it to the document. I'm going to use now query selector all, because we want to select all of the LIs. Okay, so if we would now go down here and console log list elements, okay, let's hit save. We're getting entire list of all of the elements. So let me, I don't want to see these console logs anymore. So let's just leave this one in. And let's also grab on to the all of the ULs, so all of the lists. And let's say create another const here. Let's call it list. Yeah, just lists. Okay, and I'm going to grab onto the document, and again query selector, because I want to grab onto all of the ULs. So within here, grab onto all of the ULs, and if I would console log list now, let's see, we have another node list of all of the ULs, and here we have a node list of all of our allies. Now let's start removing a few things. Let's type in here comment remove elements. Now let's say we're going to select from our list item something we want to remove. If I would now type in list elements dot remove open and close parentheses, hit save, then we get an error because we're selecting a bunch of things, so we can't remove them all. But if I would now select something, for example the very first thing, which is the DOM definition, let's say 0, hit enter, bong, that the DOM definition is gone. And if you take a look in here when we're console logging it, so it's still here because we console logging it before this method. So this console log, if I would now, let me just copy it, comment it out, and console log it again down here, then we'll see that it is still here, but is no longer displayed. Okay, so it's still within our document. It's not completely deleted, it's just removed from the DOM. Okay, let me take this out and comment this back in. If we want to, let's say, remove something from our ULs, let's say this entire DOM definition UL, then we could say lists, and let's say we grab onto the first element within it, and again dot remove, and hit save, then that is also gone. We could also remove children of elements. So let's go down here, type in new comment, remove of elements. So let's say if I would now console log lists, and let's grab on to now this one. Let me comment this to out. Okay, so I'm grabbing on again to the very first element in the ULs, so this DOM definition, and let's say we want to remove something, we want to remove a child from it. So lists, and we're going to select the first one, so we're selecting this one. Okay, now remove child, and now we're going to type in here the child that we want to remove. So we're going to remove the list elements. Let's say we want to remove this one. Okay, so this would be, if we take a look in here and we hover over it, this would be this right here, so number 1. Okay, number 1, and if I would hit save and take a look down here, and it's gone. Okay, so now we just removed a child from this parent because the list element was a child of the parent lists. We could actually go further down, and let's say we're going to grab on, let me just copy this up here, and let's say we're going to grab on from the number 7. Let me actually show you what this is. Let's console log, we don't want this. Let's console log number 7 here and comment this one out. So number 7 would be modify the DOM. Okay, so from this UL number 7, let me comment this back in, we want to remove, let's say let's remove this one, number 17. Okay, replacing elements. So within here just type in 17 and it's gone. So this is pretty much it for this video. See how easily you can create, replace and remove elements from the DOM. So see you in the next one. Bye bye.